But oh, I don't think I was recording. But hope y'all can hear me. So you can't see, but I just got done crying because y'all. I got done watching the last season of The Sandman, or the current season, season two. And you remember when I said I was going through a lot when it came to my spiritual journey in the past 3 months? The past week, I guess, 2 weeks, I have been integrating this truth. And if you watch that show from even the comics, I haven't read the comics, but I know the comics exist. But if you watch that show on Netflix from season one to season two, I'm sorry, I might end up crying. Forgive me. That's why I don't have the light on me. But I have tissue though. So the character, this applies. I have to pause this video. So the character Dream, he spends his whole life. He spends his whole life being the prince of, as you know, Dream, right? Morpheus, the dreaming. Um, so the character Dream, well, yeah, you know, just the dream god, the dream, the being who is the physical embodiment of dreams, right? That character spends his whole life being. Forgive me. He spent his whole life being. I hope y'all can hear me. He spent his whole life. I'm just gonna being the prince of stories, but always felt like he never had a story of his own. And I know a lot of us can feel like that. And this is not to give like any spoilers. It's a really good watch. You have to watch from season one to all the way through season two. Even the last, very last episode of season to, where it's called Death, the Cost of Living, because this is where it all really came full circle for me. Because, and this applies, like I said, to higher beings, your star family, your spirit family, whatever. Um, she, no, yeah. So this whole time he's been spending, because he lives centuries, millennia. Like these beings are called the endless. They live endlessly, right? Until one dies. It's possible for them to die, but it's very hard, and they live forever, essentially, right? Until the end of the cosmos, until the end of that, until that story closes, until another one is born again, right? And so crazy. And he goes his whole life trying to find meaning, trying to figure out why he has this responsibility. He's tied, he's stuck between his responsibilities and wanting to be more. And he goes through all this death and transformation and sibling rivalry, right? This love. He feels love, which is so crazy because I would say out of all the endless, he felt the most emotion. Even though he acted like he didn't, he acted like he couldn't change, and he acted like his duties became all else. His duties were above all else, right? He was portraying that, but if you watch the show, his actions weren't that, especially during season two, especially during season two. And in this show, this is like a minor spoiler. It's nothing really insane. It just give you a little more context. His brother Destruction left. First of all, his sister Despair died, so a new Despair was born. I think in the comics, I don't know. I haven't gone really deep, but I know she essentially died because she flew too close to the sun. If you know that phrasing, you got too big for your britches. The cat got too curious, and the one of the older brothers, Destruction, he left the family. So sorry, spoiler. But if you read the comics, he does the same thing in the comics too. But he leaves the family, and people just don't understand why. Keep in mind, these beings are eternal. They don't have emotion like we have emotion. They're not real like we're real. They're a different part of the dream. Um, so they just couldn't figure out why, and they were so upset, and they end up looking for him, and they found him, and he tried even then, even before he left. Um, sorry, I felt something tickling my back. I don't know what the oh, it's my shirt, but they there's destruction tried to tell them how he felt, even when he was found. He still tried to tell them. They just couldn't understand it. Well, Dream and Delirium couldn't. And this is gonna go into what I'm gonna say a little bit later because I'm building it up. So boom, we get to fast forward, and this is a huge spoiler. I just want y'all to know. I mean, I already knew this was gonna happen in the show because I was spoiled because I got Netflix after the show. After season two already came out, and I seen the spoilers on YouTube. I mean TikTok, but um, the main character dies. He spent his whole life trying to find meaning in life, and he dies. And I'm skipping a whole bunch because I want y'all to watch it, right? And fast forward, but not really fast forward because this was happening even during the show, where the siblings took 1 year every 100 years, every 100 years took 1 day. I mean, to be a human. These beings that live forever until the end of the cosmos, until this story closes completely, take 1 day out of every 100 years. to live as a human. And I'm going to talk about death because that's what it's mainly about. And death also, I would say she also had the most intriguing story, just like Dream. Um, so she ended up. Oh, there's a timer right here. I didn't even know that. Now I can know how long I'm going because I'm like, how long? I never knew that. Sorry, y'all. And I've been using this for like 5 years. Crazy work. Crazy, crazy how you just. Anyways, I always discover something. Think you know stuff. Check yourself again because you don't. But even for immortal beings. So in this episode, Death of season two is called is number 12. It's called Death, the Cost of Living. So Death, we get to finally see. Now I'm happy they included this because we get to finally see how Death lives her life. Like because they alluded to this in the story in the show, but they never showed it. So in season two, the last episode, episode 12, Death, the Cost of Living, she lives her life as a human. She's just a human doing crazy human things. And she meet this guy who's such a pessimist. He hates the world because it's always hurting Earth. People are hurting each other. There's so much separation. Why does nobody care? So throughout the whole show, he's a pessimist. He's miserable. She tries to find things to find. She tries to give him things to worth living for, but it's just not cutting it. And then I guess two significant things kind of happen. One, this girl came up to him and told him her story about essentially how she was raped by her dad and her friends. And one day she took his knife, went into the bathroom, and she was just cutting herself, cutting herself. And I guess she cut herself till she passed out. And she was in the hospital. And all she could think about was living, was happy that she's alive. Because all he wanted to do was die. Through the first scene of the episode, he was going to overdose. But he didn't. Crazy work. And then he got him and Death got caught essentially because remember Death is a human, and this I guess this occultist he summoned Death. He was going to kill. He wasn't going to kill anybody, but he wanted Death to bring back his dead lover, whatever. Of course, right? Typical. And keep in mind, this throughout the whole show, Death is just happy. She's like a child. She's happy. She's loving. She just enjoys everything and everyone. Of course, she knows how people are. Right? There's really no such thing as good as bad, and she's just enjoying life. Keep in mind, she's Death, enjoying life. How oxymoron is that? How paradoxical is that? But she they get captured. He tries to bring back his dead lover, but it doesn't work. So fast forward to the, I'm like I said, I'm skipping some parts because I really want to try to watch it. But fast forward to the end, very, very end, where she talks about oh yeah, that's I can't forget this part. During that time they was captured, all that one guy could do was just still be a pessimist. And she was like, wait a minute, I forgot. This is Death talking to the human. She was like, wait a minute, I forgot. You've only ever been human. You don't know what it's like to not have free will. And I've heard higher beings say this before, like angels, demons, higher star races, like Arcturians. I know they come up a lot, but or Lyrans, but I usually yeah, anyways, higher beings, right? Like angels who have a duty. We all want to be this and that and spectacular, right? Even though you could be spectacular here, but we have like this fantasizing belief that it's better. I can promise you that a lot of beings at the top will tell you your life is already better. And I'm gonna tell you why in a second. But she tells him, you don't know what it's like to have free will, to not have free will, right? Because humans, we have free will, right? And y'all may not know this, but a lot of higher beings don't. And I know I said that already, but A lot of higher beings do not have free will the same way we do. Not the same way we do, right? And she tells him this, and something in him changes because you can imagine being a being so powerful as death. You can do this, you can do that, but you can't feel. And when we get to the end of the show, she was like, "This is why I love being a human. You get to feel, you get to breathe. Higher beings don't breathe like we do, y'all. You get to breathe, you get to feel, you get to taste, you get to hear in a different way. You get to be, right? Human being." And I think we forget that this right here is the best part of the dream. To be so real, to be so real, you're unimaginable. To be so real, you're the truest part of the dream. A lot of beings never been human, and there are a lot of souls wanting to incarnate into human lives to be the realest part of the dream. To be so real that it doesn't make sense. And I know I made like a PowerPoint talking about this, which is going to be posted obviously before this video. But it just hit me again like, I don't want to be anything other than human. This is beautiful. I mean, yes, of course, I'm connected to my other selves and my siblings, my cosmic family. Not saying that I don't love that part of me, but this is the biggest gift that any being in the cosmos could ever have is to be real. So real, you don't make sense. So real that you can't be comprehended. Your emotions, your rage, your love, your passion, your hate, your vengeance, your sorrows, your joy, your ecstasy. That's real, y'all. To be so real, you can't even believe that you're real. To be so real, you don't even know what to do with it. That's a sacred gift that not every being in the cosmos, believe it or not, will ever experience or knows what it's like to experience or to understand it. And that's another thing too is that death, she also chose to be a human every 100 years to understand humans, to know what makes life so great, what makes the story so real to you. Sorry, I can't get over the fact that it's a timer. Now I'm looking at it. I probably shouldn't have ever noticed it. But it made me cry because y'all, this is the truest part of the dream. The truest part of the story. So true that you can taste it, that you can feel it, that you can breathe it, that you can be it. So true, so real that you can be anything you want to be. You get to be real. Think about that. I'm real. I'm real. My hurt is real. My pain is real. It hurts because it's real. It's beautiful. You are real. I'm real. Even if you had all the magic and all the technology and all the cosmic power, psychic power, even being no, wait, I'm wait. Having all that power doesn't make you real. Your your story, your humanness makes you real. Your pain, your emotions. A lot of beings don't get to feel emotions the way humans feel emotions, y'all. Y'all don't understand that. Being powerless and weak and recognizing that and realizing that that's the power. That's how you know you're real is when you feel pain, is when you feel all your emotions, even the ones you bottled up, and you feel it so intensely that all you can do is just be a human. How awesome is that? That's the magic. That's the story we tell. That's what the human archetype tells. Is being so real, so true, so physical that the dream itself doesn't even know what to do, but to just look in awe, wonder, and curiosity, and to ask, what's next? What? What are you going to do next with your story and your free will? That's what the dream asks. The dream wants to know what you're gonna do. Being so real. Being so real that you're human. That and that is the story. It's a story. It's a dream that the dream can't answer. Can't answer alone. What if you dreamt? What if you dreamt something so real, so personal, so human that the only thing you can do with it is to give it free will and to watch it grow and experience something so real, so true, undeniable that all you can do is be horrified and amazed and, and inspired that something so real exists. How can something so real even exist and still want to live? The answer that death, destruction, dream, and Lucifer in that show, even the dream itself, the answer that everyone is looking for is to be real, to be so real. You never want to give it up. That's why the character, can't think of his name, is Hob something. I'll put his name if I remember. I'll put a picture up. Oh, it's Hob Gallagher. That's his name. Even with all the death surrounding him after losing so many loved ones, he kept, even when death offered him a way out, he still chose to be an immortal, to be human, because he hasn't found the answer yet, but it applies to him too. He wants to be real, to be so real, to never give it up. None of them knew that at the time, obviously, right? Maybe they found it in the comics, but in the show, none of them knew that. Death didn't want to give up her human life to go back to being Death again. She just wanted one more. The sorcerer supreme from the Doctor Strange movie, she didn't want to die because she wanted to live. She wanted to be so real, so true, so human that she didn't want to give it up. That Hob Gallagher, the immortal, who was made by a deal, he was just a random man that dream and death betted on to see would a human be so crazy to live forever. I would say, I would say. that makes him the most human to want to live forever, even when everything you love is gone. To be so human that you want to live to see what's next, to see what's next. That's the question every being, including the dream itself, ask. Every being, including the dream itself, including the being that created you, ask to be so human, to be so crazy, to be crazy, to be crazy enough to ask what's next. And that's why we live. And that's especially why we're human. Even when we think we've seen it all, what's next? People don't realize this, but you're not just living for yourself. You're living as a question for the question. What if I created being so real? What if I created a dream so real, so true, so physical, so human, but I gave it free will? What would they do with it? Would they be crazy enough to ask what's next? To live in such a real way, to keep on living. And during Dream's funeral, Hop Gallagher, the immortal, he was there at Dream's funeral, and he was at the bridge just overlooking things. And death came to him, and he said that I've lived for 650 years and I've seen it all, felt it all, experienced it all. And he said, yet I'm in the funeral of the dream, talking to death. He said, I am at my best friend's dream, who is dream itself, talking to his sister, death. And he said, with a smile and a grin, he said, with a smile and a grin, I think I'll keep on living. I am not ready to die yet. And that is what it means to be a human. To be so crazy that you keep wanting to be a human. I don't want to be anything other than a human. This is one dream, one story that I will always never have an ending to, because this story for me will never end, no matter what. I will keep telling this story no matter what. I'll never stop being a human, no matter what happens. Have started my hair. But yeah, I just want to say that be real. Be a human. Be so real that you don't know what to do with it. And be so crazy. And be so crazy. You ask, what's next? That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I love y'all. Bye.